So even though I was doing some front squats right there, the majority of today's workout was actually bench pressing as well as some accessory work. I was just doing front squats, working up to pretty much 2 plates just to keep the frequency high in my squatting. And for the bench pressing, I didn't work heavy today. It was really just what we call, quote unquote bodybuilding work, where I'm doing like, sets of 9, 9, and 8. So I'm trying to keep a good pause, but the pauses of course could have been longer. But considering there's such high reps, I really didn't care too much about not having a perfect competition pause. And speaking about pause benching, I'm starting to feel much more comfortable with my pause benching. There was a time where I only did touch and go reps in training. But thank you to everybody who was annoying me about, not pausing my bench. Bench. So now come competition day, once I get under the bar, during a bench press, I'm going to feel much more confident with a pause, knowing that I did this in training a million times. And real quick before the set is over right here, notice how the bar movement is actually in an arc as opposed to going straight up and down. I try to touch down to my stomach, and then I try to push it over my face as I'm going up. It makes the lockout much easier for me. You can kind of see it here as well. I'll stop the spotter pretty much right above my neck when he's giving the lift off. And if you're in a competition, make sure to communicate with the spotter, telling them where you want the lift off to end. Because sometimes they'll bring it right above your chest, when for me, that's not how I bench. So the bar is starting over my neck. That's where I get the lift off to. And then from there, I bring it in an arc motion to my belly. And then once I get the press command, I bring it back in an arc motion again, back to my neck where it once started. And people think that's a longer range of motion, so it has to be harder. But that's not the case. I don't quite know the biomechanics of why it's easier or why you can push more weight like that. But I also heard some top level competitors saying the same thing, and I realized I was already doing that without even knowing it. So here's my last set of pause benching right here. Doing a nice long pause for this last rep coming up, just to make up for all the short pauses I was doing earlier. And then on to the accessory work. And it's not often that I do a lot of bodybuilding work like this, but it definitely has its place in powerlifting routines. So, just having decent muscle structure will allow you to perform movements better in powerlifting. So just, pick and choose which accessory movements you need the most and stick to those ones. Don't just go throwing in random isolation movements willy-nilly, because then it'll just be a lot of unnecessary work that you're doing. And another thing I want to talk about is that I'm currently dropping weight, and not like water manipulation, but I'm actually trying to lose some fat. And of course water will come off with that. And I'm doing it extremely slowly. I weighed about 210.5 pounds at the peak of my bulk. Now I'm cutting down very, very slowly. I want to end up at about 202 pounds. I'll be happy there because I can compete in the 205 weight class easily. And I can also drop water to compete in 198. So that'll be a good place to be. And I like to be worry free when it comes to dropping water weight for meets. And if I weighed 210, it would be a little bit harder to get into the 198 weight class, which is what I want to be in. And the reason why I'm not moving up into a weight class is because I really do pride myself on being lighter weight, but also being strong. Because the kids who can squat as much as me, or are close to squatting as much as me, they're weighing like 270, So I really do pride myself on being a lighter lifter, but being just as strong as everybody else, if not stronger. So that's my plan right now. Just slowly lose my weight. I'm really just keeping it pretty simple. I used to eat 4,000 calories. Now I'm dropping it down to 3,700, and then I'll proceed to drop it down when I stop losing weight. So nothing fancy. It might not be the most optimal way, but it's just a way for me to keep things simple and not completely destroy my life worrying about calories and carbs, fats, proteins all the time. And here's just the end of my accessory work, doing some floor presses, increasing the tricep volume. That's it, man. Peace.